Welcome, everyone, to season...
Wait a second.
What?
Who are you?
Oh, who are you?
I'm the host.
I thought... Dan, I thought I was the host.
Ooh, don't ask me.
What's going on here?
I see John Dunn in the back. Oh, man, he had a... What game was this?
I'm not sure.
What game? Oh, Hartford. Hartford, right?
Yeah.
Anyway, welcome back to Season 3, Episode 1 of the Relay Throw. I think that deserves some applause.
Back.
We're back.
We're back.
I'm back, at least. You guys
back.
have been back.
Mm-hmm. We missed you.
You don't have to lie. I think we're an honest pod.
Just kissing up.
Yeah, that's fair. I'm your host, Dan Aulbach, alongside my co-host, Aidan Lavin. On the other side of the table is personality guy, glue guy, Ben Leeds. I almost said your nickname. You don't have to go there. And producing in the back is Jimmy.
What up, what up?
Who's actually in the front.
Oh, I guess, well...
If you want to be tactical, sure.
Yeah, the it depends on if the viewers are looking, I guess, yeah, it's the front.
Mm-hmm.
Jimmy, how you doing?
You know, Dan, I'm doing well. Glad to be in the producer's chair for the first time on the pod.
First time in history we've had a live producer. Gonna try to keep that up. We actually just released by the way, it's Thursday, September 5th. This will probably come out next Friday, hopefully.
Yep.
But we did release our closing episode. This is Thursday, so it'd be the prior week. Then this comes out, where we talked about the whole year. We talked about advice to the youngins, and we have a big year ahead of us.
Yeah.
I don't know about you, but we got a lot of stuff on the plate.
Yeah, should be exciting. I think it's nice to be able to look back on what we did last year and everything that it was kind of like what we want to do this upcoming year is what we stated in that podcast. And now for all of these things to start to become into fruition, it's pretty exciting. I like that we obviously have a producer now. We've got a lot of multimedia stuff. And we're really just trying to expand, and it's very, very cool.
Yeah, it is cool. And having Jimmy down here, another glue guy, if you will, to pair with our other glue guy.
What type of glue am I?
So much glue.
Gorilla,
and
I think is pretty obvious.
I like it.
Dan is like
Elmer's.
the Elmer's purple, like the
glue
that's
stick?
the classic.
The glue stick.
The classic. I don't think you can go wrong. Those
No.
you know how many,
all reliable.
you know how many projects that saved me in like
Yeah.
3rd through 5th grade? Like holy moly. Dan, how are classes going for you?
Classes are good so far. No real complaints. Yeah, the communication life is good.
It's pretty sweet.
But it's all about that out of class stuff, which we're doing right now.
That's right.
Here we are.
Sure are. It is. It's currently 2 p.m. After this, Jimmy and I are heading over to new sports comm director Andy Ellerich's class to be celebrities. So
Nice.
we're already old heads. So
Mama, I made it.
yeah, we're drawing names for like their group project. So I'm excited for that. Football also back. This is gonna come out next week, like I said. So we gotta probably drop some predictions now. I mean, I'm gonna be at the Giants game. Probably bad juju for you guys. No offense.
They're going to have a rough year. That's
Yeah,
for sure.
probably rougher than the hometown team here. So, you guys, Ben, give me your week 1 or season prediction? Bold prediction.
Week 1, the Giants are going to win.
Okay.
Daniel Jones is going to play great because the last time he played the Vikings, he played awesome.
Okay.
But my season prediction that I've been sticking to this offseason, Chiefs are winning 3 in a row. It's going to happen.
Yeah.
First
Gross.
team ever, they're going to do it.
See,
The
Disgusting.
team.
it sounds so possible that it doesn't sound bold, but I know
3
like
in a row.
it is
It's hard.
bold. We were talking about this. It is bold. Let's see. Bold prediction. Do you have one?
To counter Ben, the 49ers are going to finally get over that hump and win the Super Bowl.
Okay.
But for week 1, I think Jaden Daniels outperforms Caleb Williams.
I like that. Who are the Commanders facing? I don't even know. Bears are playing
Each other?
Tennessee. I think it's -4.5 for Tennessee.
Yeah. That's an interesting team.
Yeah.
Will Levis.
Yeah.
A lot
I
of-
honestly it's kind of cool.
Yeah.
It's like just a lot of new parts.
Yep.
I like Ty J. Spears.
Yep. And Pollard sharing the backfield with him. And then you've got Ridley and Hopkins on the outside. I really don't know what's going to happen with that team because it's like
An interesting little tidbit about that, though, is no number 1 overall pick has beaten their first opponent in the past, like,
22 years.
22 years.
22 or 23, which is why I picked Tennessee in our spreads, our pick and league.
Yeah.
So.
and that's why I said Jaden Daniels will outperform Caleb Williams because I obviously
knew that.
stat.
Just had to stand them.
However, they are playing Tampa, and Tampa's defense is nothing to be trifled with. But I can agree with
The Bake
Aidan
Show.
on here. I can agree with Aidan on this one.
I'm looking at these spreads right now. It's a lot of even matchups. I guess my bold prediction, I think Carolina beats New Orleans. I think for no particular reason why.
Divisional matchup.
That's a tough defense,
Right out of the
too.
gate.
I know that's the tough defense, but I don't know. Just Bryce Young. He's still got something in the tank.
Yeah.
So.
I like the Deontay
Still got
Johnson
something in the
signing.
tank. He's like 23
I know,
years
but like
old.
people are always writing him off. Oh yeah, that's fair. All right.
New head coach, help Gino, help Baker.
Yeah.
Hopefully he helps Bryce.
Already getting embarrassed by Ben. Like 4 minutes of me being back.
Yes.
Italy was great, by the way.
We're so back.
Yeah,
We're so back.
Italy was fantastic. But I miss these clowns. So,
We're like okay. We had a lot of good pods while you were gone.
I think you did. One of them, the video got fucked. But
Yeah.
Oh,
Whoa.
whoa.
We'll
Suspended.
bleep it.
Yeah. Thanks. That was on time. Perfect.
Little late on that. My fault,
Yeah,
folks.
no. We'll bleep. We got post.
Yeah.
What is on the screen? Are they showing the?
Is this a piece of paper?
This is like the PA stuff. Is that is that for the ads? That's awesome.
For the audio-only crowd, we have a random Marist basketball game on the TV in here. Just has some kind of
It looks like a home
background
video.
action. Yeah.
It looks like
doesn't
someone
look
went to the
good.
game and brought their camcorder.
Something to satisfy our ADHD.
Yeah, just something like if we're to look at.
2018, 2019.
12 and 19.
It's the Hartford.
There's no way this is
Something.
2018, 2019. This literally looks like straight out of the Blair Witch Project.
I know.
Hartford Hawks.
Well, it would help if someone wasn't recording on their slide phone.
No longer even a Division I basketball program.
Wow.
I got dropped.
Oh my God. There's Oh my God. I'm too old for this. Anyway, so we got a lot of new things. Multimedia board, which we mentioned. That's really going to be helping us out with this digital stuff. How about that meeting? How about that yesterday meeting? Right?
Man.
Both of them.
Both.
The first meeting of the semester and the meeting right after that one.
Yeah.
2 Wednesdays in a row, we're on fire.
The goal too is to get a lot of those guys and girls in the room because, our multimedia presence is huge, and there's a lot of passionate young folks that, we could talk about Caitlin doing that story over the weekend, cross country. That was fantastic, and taking photos, and a lot of people have some really good ideas. So I'm excited. This is probably the most excited I've been for a semester of center field. Not to say the other ones were bad; they're all good. But this one should do some numbers.
Yeah, it's been fun. Given us a lot, too, in semesters past, and hopefully that continues, and we're able to give things to other people now that we're on our way out eventually.
I know, and I just feel like our infrastructure is just overall better.
Yeah.
The managing doc, oh my goodness, that's done wonders. I honestly, I don't even know how they managed stuff when I was a sophomore, because we just have so many stories to keep track of. I know Johnny Canadian, shout out, he had his little notebook, and he had like every story ever in the notebook.
Yeah.
And story ideas. So.
Any chance you're excited about this semester because of everything that's going on with the football team?
You know what I am? Now, as far as information I can report on, my preview's coming out this Friday, and it will be out by the time this is out. And I'm excited to get some information out there. Do I have a lot? No, which is fine. Talk to Willis, very upstanding guy, very professional. Keeping a lot of his cards and his secrets close to his chest, which, what are you gonna do, right? It's week 1 of your first head coaching job ever. You don't want the opponent to know everything. Now, I did the math yesterday, and I think Georgetown has outscored Marist the last 2 years by a score of 92 to 12, which isn't that good.
No.
In any sport, any type of scoring. This is a different team. This is I don't think, I'll put my opinion out there. I don't think they'll win, just because of the nature of what the competition Georgetown plays and their recruits. But I do think it will be exciting, and I do think there will be some players that will shine. Tristan Shannon, Mohamed Diawara, and we'll get into that later.
Yep.
No, I got some takes and some information to drop, but let's kick it to soccer. Let's have some soccer talk.
See what you did there.
Soccer.
How about that?
Yeah.
It's like he never left, folks.
It's just keeping them fresh.
Yep.
Men's soccer writer this semester, of course, Luke Sassa. We'll get him on an episode shortly. He's been hard at work getting this. I'm shocked how many games they play before the actual school year starts.
It is pretty insane.
They've played 3 games only. I think the
women's plays a lot.
5.
Yeah.
They're lost 4-0 to Wisconsin, who was 66th on the RPI rankings last year, and number 10 this year on the United Soccer Coaches top 25 in the nation.
Wow.
And hey, less goal discrepancy than Marquette, who they lost 6-1 to. 93 on the RPI rankings last year, and then 0-3 to Cornell, 59th on the RPI rankings. Marist last year finished 171. So, I mean, those are tough opponents to start out. I will say they are 5th in the coaches poll, which, I mean, I have opinions on the coaches poll. I don't think but they're setting
it.
It's not entirely accurate at all. If you just look at, Ben, didn't you do a piece on that, right?
I did. Just kind of the nature of it, because I don't think you can vote for your own school. And I don't know how much these coaches are. They're obviously talking to other coaches within the conference, but they're not like at practice watching these teams play. So it's a lot based on the previous season and just like looking who's still here from that team, who came in, but you don't know how anything's going to gel together at all.
And they do the polls before any preseason, I think. So all of the freshman recruits, all the transfers, you know nothing about.
Yeah.
Skylar Cunha, the lone goal scorer for Marist, he had a penalty in the 55th minute. So they have not scored a goal that is not a penalty yet. But like I said, tough opponents.
Yeah.
They'll probably be the first team, men's and women's soccer, to get a win because they play Army tonight. And that is someone more similar to their skill level.
Yeah.
But Marist has been outscored 13-1 in the first 3 games of the season. Their first home game, September 9th. And I did not write down who that was against. Suspend me. So.
Yeah, they've really been on the road to start the year, and the women's soccer team has been the opposite.
Yeah, right.
Like every game is at home.
Yeah.
And like we mentioned, it's always non-conference. It doesn't really tell the full story. And I think I'm getting deja vu because when we talked to President Weinman in this room, we kind of mentioned the same thing, how like your non-conference schedule shouldn't determine the success that you have in conference play.
Yeah, and Ben has, we've talked about this. We talked about this pretty early on, how you don't believe in playing really, really, really good opponents at all.
Yeah, kind of a hot take because it's easy to say, oh, you're playing good opponents. It's going to kind of train you for when you're in MAC play, you're more your speed and you're like, I don't know. But my thinking is you get used to losing, and that's never a good thing because when it comes down to these close games at the end, you're not really playing in any close games really against these good teams. But if you are and you're losing them, how does that help you? Like you want to win some of these games. You want to know you can go out there late in a game and finish strong and finish the game and win.
Experience in different situations. Yeah, that's a good point.
Yeah,
I like playing the tougher opponents personally, just because, you see something that you're not going to see after that, and everything in theory should be easier after you play the harder teams, but momentum is a thing, and if all you're doing is losing. You may never get up that hill of getting a win and then flipping everything around, and you may just continue to lose.
Yeah, I could go both ways. Ben, I think it's what you said about volleyball. Like, first off, I've always believed in playing stronger opponents, but what you said about volleyball, like if you're down, you're going to game 5 or set, 5th set, and that's a situation where you want to know you can win.
And it's really a different game in the 5th set in volleyball because the first 4 to 25, the 5th set is 15. So if you're going to these out-of-conference games at big schools and you're just losing 3-0, 3-1, if you steal a set, but playing in a 5th set, I mean, I didn't play at a high level, but you can feel it's different because every point means more. And I think in volleyball especially, it's good to kind of get those reps in those big points where, like, the match hinges on this point in the 5th set.
Yeah, and another thing, like, with, football, for example. This is, I know, and different conference, not even related. They play Georgetown to start the year almost every year. And I think every single time they've been outscored by 40 or 30, like 38 or more is the stat in the last 3 times they played them, which is just kind of unacceptable. For like to give not like for the players, like sure it could be helpful, for experience and all that, but like if that's your home opener for fans, I feel like that kind of drives away a lot of attendance. Now I guess we'll see what happens with this game. Usually the last 2 times they think they play them on the road. But other than that, the other non-conference games that Marist has, they play Lafayette this year, who is I think the 18th ranked FCS team. So if that's the case, I don't have any clue how they'll do against them.
Yeah.
If they're play Georgetown, who is most of the time mid to lower of that conference, or that league. So, but I think for basketball, Dunn doesn't make a terribly tough schedule. They do play some tougher opponents, but women's basketball, didn't they play Bama a few years ago?
They may have
confirmed that potentially. I think they did. But yeah, I guess it just varies.
I think that's the right way to do it. Mix in 1 or 2 of those ones where it's like, hey, this is what the top of college sports is like. Like the level that teams are at. But it's good to get games, not just that you're going to win, but that you're going to be competitive, and it's going to be a real back and forth game instead of a blowout one way or the other.
Yeah, I like that. Back to men's soccer while Jimmy does this research. The only other thing I noticed is that Jonathan Salguero dyed his hair blonde. He has like the platinum blonde look.
Like Joe Burrow?
Yeah, no, exactly like Joe Burrow. Him, Richard Morel, Julo, who's not on the team anymore, or I think he graduated, maybe. They all were on Stockade this summer, so I got to see a lot of them play. Morel hasn't had a lot of minutes comparatively to like other returning guys. I did some quick looks at like the newer guys that are being impactful. This guy named Aidan Arbor, Syracuse transfer, 5 appearances in 2 years with Cuse. Which it's interesting because I was like, Andre Cutler, who was a freshman our year when they won, transferred to Syracuse, and he only appeared in 1 match his junior year.
Yep.
It's interesting.
Yeah.
Sure. It just depends on, I guess, what you want out of a transfer.
The women's soccer team is almost entirely new, which is also interesting. They have McDermott, who's been very impactful. It seems as though they're still trying to get their footing, but now, being that there was a new coach hired last year in Pacapelli, it seems like she has who she wants in the building now. And eventually, hopefully, I guess the goal for her is to make sure that everything clicks and that they have momentum. I think momentum is important. There's an argument between momentum being a thing and not a thing in sports.
I think it's totally a thing.
Yeah.
I mean, again, that kind of depends sport to sport. 100%. Jimmy, do you have that stat for us?
Yeah, for women's basketball, correct?
They played Bama.
They played Alabama State University.
That is a.
But
They're like about the
Well,
same.
yeah, I think they're pretty similar.
And they did beat them. They beat them by 5 in 1996.
Oh, wow. So this is years ago. Yeah. I feel like they played a really good opponent at
Villanova.
They have a lot of power school matchups, though. They've played Duke like 3 times.
Maddie Seegers
They played Arizona State once. So, I mean,
she was
they
on
do
my
have
fantasy
a lot of
WNBA team.
Power 5 or Power 4 schools now in their history.
Thank you, Jimmy.
You're welcome.
You can give yourself applause for that. Good stat. Yeah, good stat guy. Yeah, she is playing well, isn't she?
Yeah. The wings are not very good.
No.
And I don't really understand that because Agumba Wale is like
She's
a very good
incredible.
player, and she takes like close to half the shots on the team.
Okay,
but
well.
I don't know why they're not any competitive.
Enrique
Really.
is also on my fantasy WNBA team.
I kind of
so
get
I
it.
do. I
I
do
feel
like
like
those girls
I feel like playing fantasy sports has made me more invested in whatever
so
sport
much. Yes.
I play with. So, like, that's how I got into football. That is also how I got really into basketball. And I stopped playing fantasy basketball because I hate
Too
art.
long.
It's stupid.
Same with baseball.
I know Jimmy agrees. Yeah.
Yeah, I did a fantasy basketball league last year, and I think I stopped caring after 2 weeks.
Yeah, there's no point.
Yeah.
It's
It's too much to worry about. That's big fantasy football guy over here. Doing 4 teams this year, but
Nice.
it's much better because you only got to worry about it like once a week.
Who was your first pick in each of the 4 leagues?
I had the second overall pick in one of my leagues, and I ended up taking CMC because Tyreek went first overall.
Interesting.
Yeah, very interesting. I took Bijan with one of my first picks because I was like pick 5, I believe, and Bijan fell, and I was like, yeah, let's take him. I took at number 6 in one of my leagues. Who did I take?
Oh no. He's already losing track of the teams. There's too many.
Yeah, and then the other one's a dynasty. So yeah,
I see your 4 and I raise you to 6.
you're him.
Yeah,
Maybe. Yes and or no.
So last year I had 4, and I was like, okay, I'd like to do 1 less. I'd like to keep it to 3.
Yeah, that didn't
and
work.
then they doubled. So I have a dynasty league with a lot of the old center field members. So that started last year.
That may or may not be the one that I am into.
You might be in that too.
No invite.
Dude, you're like
anti-bet
you're like
Leagues
12.
dynasty league.
You're like 12 years old.
Although I will say a lot of the older guys do enjoy some bleeds. They do. Enjoy,
Oh, for sure.
They do enjoy
Absolutely.
some bet leads.
What can I say?
Absolutely, dude. They rave about you. You're a top prospect in the system. So.
I still have prospect
No,
eligibility.
now you're not.
Jeez,
You're,
man.
no. You're
You
like
got me wasting away in the minors.
you're up for first ARB. Like, no, we don't. What's it called? Manipulate service time.
Okay. Okay.
So I'm in the league with you. That team, I went all in. Traded for Saquon. Traded for Aaron Jones. I still have CeeDee Lamb, Marvin Harrison, JSN. But yeah, so it's a pretty good team. And then another dynasty I started this year, and then 4 other regular leagues. So I won't go into those.
I just want to say Dan he ended up getting the first overall pick in that dynasty league. He ended up out-tanking Derek, who ended up trading everybody. He has like 11 first-round picks in the next 2 years.
That's no way to play fantasy.
No, not at all. Not at all. But
Yeah,
Derek works in mysterious ways.
I didn't mean to tank, and then I forgot to set my lineup 2 weeks in a row, and then I was like, all right, I will, be respectful.
Busy out of the country, so that happens.
That is, yeah, right. Well, I was, I honored the code. I set my lineup every week, and it just, the team was not, my top running back was Tyjae Spears. So,
Ooh.
I also have in my dynasty league.
yeah, breakout year. You know anything?
Well, then they signed Pollard, and that made me sad.
I think he'll overtake his job.
Pollard's washed.
Yeah. Thank you.
Gotta continue giving the guy that's getting the money the ball.
Exactly. Unfortunately, that's more how the Cowboys operate, though. Anyway, soccer. So back to soccer.
Circling back.
Let's kick it back again.
You're gonna want to draft Gabby Tirado in your fantasy Mac women's soccer.
Arguably,
league.
Mally McDermott. First off, New Hampshire. What a great state. Huh?
Okay, here we go.
Nashville High School South. I
Here
watched
we go.
some volleyball tournaments there. I live 30 minutes away. Let's get her on the pod.
Why not?
Let's do it. She is the only goal scorer, right? Correct me if I'm wrong.
Yes.
And she scored 2 goals, and they're the only 2 goals on the team.
Mm-hmm.
And get this, they're the only 2 goals in her collegiate career.
Wow.
How about
She's
that?
never scored before. I'm like almost 100% sure that's true. She recorded 3 assists in her career on Seton Hall. no goals, and she already has 2 goals, and she's missed 8 of the possible 450 minutes. So, no Gabby Tirado playing all 450. Correct me if I'm wrong.
She's very good, very aggressive too. She goes after the ball.
Electric.
Yeah, it's
A
fun
lot
to
of
watch.
energy.
I wanted to circle back to what you were saying about Pacapelli getting her squad. You're absolutely right. I think Sam talked about this a lot last year, where she was pretty open about these are my recruits.
Yeah,
a lot of older players were graduating. The Caldarelli twins. Oh my God,
Sam Sterno,
Brooke Sergel. Yep. So, and those weren't her recruits, which is completely fair.
Yep.
They're still good players, but
I think she was also very open with them, just asking them to help her transition into that role. And she was more so asking them, obviously they're there to compete and there to win, but she was asking them to kind of be the foundation for what she wants. That way next year is a smooth process in her first full year where she has her players in. She's going to have whatever schedule she wants. And I think they did a really good job of that. They were very okay, especially that's hard to do when the season's not going as well as you may want it to go, which was the case last year. And I think this year we'll see, but they obviously have an identity. They always are playing from the outside in, which allows for a lot of crosses. The crosses have not been successful so far, but
yeah,
they've got something there.
Yeah, there's something there. I got to get to a game. I've watched the ESPN Plus highlights, but I got to get to a game.
That game against the Naval Academy they were incredibly aggressive. Easily some of the most aggressive soccer I think I've seen them play in a while.
Yep.
Just consistently attacking the offensive zone.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, and you were talking about the plethora of crosses. That's just kind of how they operate their offense. And I mean, they had so many goal scoring opportunities.
Mm-hmm.
It's just so many block shots. I believe they had almost 10 block shots.
Yeah, they've been out shooting most of their opponents.
Gabby
the shots on goal have been a little less, but
Tirado had 6 or 7 shots by herself in that game.
Yep.
First MAC game this Saturday. So I guess we'll find out how they do when this gets released. But I'm excited. I might go to that one. I'm there for football. So
yep.
But yeah, I other thoughts, final thoughts on women's soccer. Jane Brooks. I mean, stellar defender. Played all 450 minutes too. Freshman from Vancouver, and just take a look at her accolades list on athletics is 2024 British Columbia Semi-Pro League provincial.
Jeez.
We can just move past that
Thank
word.
you.
He's
Province
not
champions.
friend of the Canadians.
I'm just assuming that's British Columbia semi-professional league because she is on a semi-professional team and she is from British Columbia.
Yep.
League champions, 2024 Desert Super Cup champions. I want to go to the Desert Super Cup. Where is that?
In the desert.
Yeah, Jimmy, get on that. Majoring in human bio. So
Good for her.
Very cool.
cool.
Donnelly.
Dan, was this the 2024 Desert Super Cup?
Yes, it sure was.
It is out in Arizona.
Oh, I was going to say Arizona, but I didn't want to sound
I had
stupid.
it mixed up. I was thinking of the 2023 Desert Super Cup Championship.
Which was?
Anyways.
She's also the 2018 Umbro Cup MVP, so she was probably, 12, 14?
Baller.
Something like that.
Baller. Let's do, I know we're already at, what are we at?
32 minutes right now.
Love it. Ben, let's get on volleyball talk.
Here we go.
Give me your quick volleyball rundown for the next week or so.
Okay. Tough weekend. They were in Virginia.
All right, thanks, Ben. No, anyway.
But they're... Well, I'll take any applause I can get.
Oh,
Even
that's-
artificial. I'm just kidding. But there were some bright spots. I mean, they were playing good teams, which, back to what we were talking about before, you don't really expect to win all these out-of-conference games, but Jamison White was on the all-tournament team. She's going to be the setter this year, most likely. It looks like that now. She's going to play a big role, graduate student, expected to be a leader.
From UNH?
Yes.
Where's that?
She's not from New Hampshire, but sure, you can have your New Hampshire flowers.
I'll take it. I'll take it. Anyway, Sorry to cut you off.
It's going to be kind of a younger team. There's a lot of the hitters are freshmen or sophomores, so she's one of the older players on the team, and she has a lot of experience from New Hampshire. And
Thank you.
Yep.
Based on what you saw, are they trying to play the same way they have in years past, or are they kind of playing a little differently? Because obviously when you can rely on Sasha and Jordan, you can play a certain way and play through them. Are they playing that same style, or are they now switching?
It's a great question.
It's an incredible question. But it was a little different from what I saw, and I mean, it was only the first weekend of many this season. They play close to 30 games, but they're going to have to change. Like you don't have the name value hitters that they've had in years past with Sasha and Jordan, but not that it's addition by subtraction, but they're going to be more well-rounded, and that's kind of what Coach Byron was talking about. I interviewed him for a preview, and they're not deeper, but they're more well-rounded. They're balanced.
Wait, just not to cut you off. The middle hitters was something that we talked about, and something you talked about in your preview, where it's like they just have never emphasized it. Even when I asked Byron covering, like, hey, your middle hitting percentage isn't that great, I'm pretty sure it was just like, are we playing with strengths?
Yeah, when you have those two hitters on the pins, it's why wouldn't you set them? They're two of the best hitters in the MAC, but especially with a middle, that's so important to get involved, because the middle sets are quick, and it forces the middle blockers to stay there and block. And if you hammer home some attacks from the middle, the blockers can't just go to the pins right when the ball is set. They have to stay home, and you can set up like a one-on-one matchup outside. And they have a lot of freshman outside hitters who kind of split time the first weekend. And it's going to be interesting to see who kind of raises to the top of who's going to be the outside hitters when the MAC season opens.
Who's their first MAC opponent? Not to put you on the spot. I'm curious.
They're on the road. I think it's Niagara at the end of September.
Okay.
But yeah, they're not home until October, which is rough.
Crazy.
A lot of traveling.
I guess a good segue into football, just because. Thank you, Ben, for the volleyball talk. We'll check back in with you, and maybe we'll have a few volleyball. Let's do a volleyball show. Let's get some of your roundtable folks on the show.
Of course. I'd love to.
That'd be cool.
That would be fun.
Volley Ben.
They play Western Kentucky, Loyola, Michigan State.
Yes.
That's quite this. Delaware, URI. Cool. And then Niagara, Canisius, Siena, and then Iona at home, October 5th. So be there.
Rematch of their MAC tournament match that they lost against Iona.
That was loud on the headset. We'll wrap it up with some football talk quickly. You already brought it up, but this weekend against Georgetown should be interesting. But I can give you a little idea of who to look out for. As far as the quarterback room goes, so there's been no confirmation on who their starters going to be this weekend. I can give you the stat lines of the three who have playing experience before and that could possibly play. Actually, really two. That's Brabham, who played a lot last season when Bogozzi went down with a knee injury. I believe it was a strained MCL. But he played in 5 games, threw for 773 yards, 5 touchdowns, 4 picks. So, I mean, the interceptions only, a little troublesome. I feel like in college, at least in this conference, there's a lot of picks thrown. The top quarterback in the league for Drake threw, I want to say, as many passing TDs as he did interceptions. So, I mean, him, they brought in O'Dowd from LSU, which sounds a lot cooler than it probably is. It's cool that he got to, sit behind those guys, Jane Daniels and all of them, but he was a practice squad QB. So I just don't think they're going to give someone that hasn't have any collegiate experience, throw them right in the game. So maybe in a year. And then the other guy, Enzo, who I think transferred from Monmouth, and he has some actual playing experience. He's a redshirt sophomore. And in games with Monmouth, I have this somewhere, he appeared in 4 games, completed 8 of 9 passes for 66 yards, went 6 for 7 for 55 yards against Lehigh. So that was just in 1 game.
Mm-hmm.
So I don't know much about them. Like, there's not much info out there, but we'll see.
Yep.
I guess we'll see.
Got to tune in. Got to show up.
Yeah, we sure will. That's next on the table, I think, for me to just figure out their quarterback play.
Good luck.
Maybe it'll be you.
Oh,
Have you thought about throwing your name in the
I
ring?
have, okay, and this, you can laugh at me for this, but I have physical similarities to Arch Manning, facially.
yeah.
Now, pull up a picture of Arch Manning, and if you don't believe me,
Where's your NIL deal though?
great question.
But
Can we get some? We'll take advertisements. If anyone's listening, the
Shameless.
yeah, I'll be. I
Shameless.
always put it all out there. Brought to you by, like, I don't know, Rossi's. Thank you. Yeah, Rossi's. Hit us up. I like a good Rossi sandwich.
Me too.
What's your go-to?
Chicken parm?
Vodka?
No, just regular.
Okay. Ben?
No comment. I'm a very picky eater. We don't have to talk about this. It's very personal.
for next pod.
Go to Jimmy. Go to Jimmy.
I'm the vodka chicken parm. That's my go-to.
See, I am allergic to tree nuts, so pesto is like very half and half for me.
Immediately invalid take. Just you're invalid. Whatever you say is invalid.
Jeez.
What if I said vodka chicken parm?
Next question.
Okay. But yeah, as far as like last things on football, they're polled, I want to say 9th in Phil Steele's PFL preview, and then like I think 8 or 9 in the postseason or the preseason poll. I guess you just have to see week 1. That's really when you can start making your projections. So
A lot
really
of
never
questions
know.
to be answered.
yeah. Final thoughts, anyone, before we kick this over to our special guest?
Oh, special guest.
Who could it be? Should we keep it a secret? Or I
Happens to be
Well,
my golf instructor at the moment.
I think if they're clicking on this video, it's probably in the title.
He's actually 2 of 4 people in this room.
Could have been 3.
Could have been 3. Yeah,
Couldn't have been
we're gonna have to bring that up.
Now,
Yeah.
now, Dan, if you wanted to tee it up though, I do have a drum roll thing that I can play.
Okay, yeah, let's do it.
All right.
Yeah,
All right, I'll do it.
Yeah.
All right, 3, 2, 1.
what the?
That is not a drum roll.
What a drum roll! Oh my God!
Might just cut that.
It's a good beat
No,
though.
no,
It's
no.
a good beat
Keep
though.
that in. Keep that in. Keep that in. All right, let's do physical.
I don't know if the mic's getting told.
It will. And it's Tim Murray.
Wow.
Yeah.
How about that?
Got him
What
on
a,
the-
what
got
a
him.
first guest.
Another. Yeah. I mean, we got Kevin Lyman before.
Yep.
We've gotten Travis, and now Tim Murray. So stick around. We're gonna kick it over to ourselves in probably this studio. And yeah, any thoughts?
Nope.
I think he's a little step up from me, but I enjoyed being a guest. It was a lot of fun,
Yeah, I
as
think
always.
we're gonna have to option you back to triple.
Yeah, I understand it's a business at the end of the day.
Yeah, it's a business.
It's something personal.
But yeah, we'll kick it back over to ourselves.
Keep doing your best.
All right, hello. We are back with our first guest of the season, Aidan.
Very exciting.
Very exciting. Athletic director since '95, 4th longest serving AD in Division I, Dutchess County Sports Museum Hall of Fame member, snubbed from the PGA Tour, probably. It's Tim Murray. Tim, welcome to the show.
Actually, I think it's 3rd now because Joe from Lehigh
Really?
just announced his retirement. Yeah, well, it will be. Yeah, at the end of the year.
Moving up in the ranks.
Yeah, right. That's some claim to fame.
Yeah, but welcome. We're very happy to have you here. Now, the one thing we all have in common is we all all used to participate in your golf class until I dropped it.
Yep.
These 2 active, but
Still standing.
Yeah.
it must just be the best that you get to teach golf here while also being the athletic director. How is teaching the class?
Yeah, I got to be honest with you. It's I really enjoy it. I mean, I enjoy golf, so I think that's helpful. But I truly enjoy engaging with the students, right? Because sometimes in my role, you really have to force yourself. I mean, I'm out with the athletes,
Yeah.
but I really lose touch with, in many cases, the general student. And this gets me back into the classroom, and I have a lot of fun with it. I wish I could teach more. I do 2 sections in the fall and 1 in the spring. No, I really enjoy it, and my feedback has been pretty good, right?
Love
So-
it. Love it.
End of semester
I think I'm
surveys.
doing a good
There you go.
job,
That's
but I
good.
mean, our students are the best evaluation as to whether or not you're doing a decent job.
It's
But
true.
Again, golf is hard.
Yeah.
I'll do the best I can in the 8 weeks, but hopefully I just can instill some excitement about golf. And it's a lifetime sport, as it is, and it's a terrific lifetime sport. So hopefully I engage enough enthusiasm in my presentation with golf that people want to take it beyond their time here at Marist for sure. So
Yeah.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
It's what you want
yeah.
out of any teacher. And I know you talked about it in class. You have past experience coaching a little bit for golf. But
yeah.
I think also the interesting thing that you touched on is that you're always around the athletes and not so much the general student body. So that's obviously one example. What are other ways you try to stay connected with the student body? Because they are a big part of what makes the athletics look good when they are going to games and things like that.
Yeah, I think sometimes people take for granted my role as just really overseeing those 615 Division I athletes.
Yep.
But, also under me are the 20 club sport athletes, all of our intramural recreation. I mean, we have 4 fitness centers on campus, of which is overseen by athletics, ultimately myself. So, yeah, I mean, all of our students, I think, without having an exact percentage, I think there's probably about 80 to 85% of all of our students engage in some level
It's quite
of
an active
athletics.
college. I was thinking about that. I was walking around the track, like getting myself ready for the podcast today, and I was just like, there's a lot of activity. Like whether people are in the weight room, a lot of people do the intramurals. I work closely with Steven, so I have a good pulse of what's going on with club sports, being that I play club baseball and I also am doing the intramural reffing. So there's a lot of activity, which I think is something to get excited about.
No, absolutely. And, we have this new track turf facility with lights that's going to extend the opportunities for our students tremendously. We put something in this year, and Kevin really wanted us to reevaluate freshman orientation, which was much different than when you guys first started here at Marist a couple of years back.
sure.
With a mask on.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So we offered some opportunities for kids to recreate starting at 7:30 on Friday, Saturday, and Sunday.
Cool.
And trust me, I was a little skeptical as to whether or not our freshmen would engage in any activity. And, I'm getting the numbers from Steven later today, early tomorrow, but I mean, they were really involved. I mean, we did a Pilates class, we did a yoga class, we opened up the fitness center. We had our cross-country coach and director of track, Pete Calazo, out with some of his staff, and we did some runs around campus to show our freshmen where to run and some certain loops with certain mileage. And it was really, really interesting. And I think it just goes to show you that, our freshmen are no different than our upperclassmen, and they're engaged physically along with academically. So it's all good stuff. And we have facilities that can accommodate that, which makes it even better.
Yeah, there's a lot to be excited about. Like when you get here as a freshman, there's just a lot. Like every corner of campus, there's an athletic facility. It's something we preach on. I'm a tour guide. It's something we preach on our tours, going through McCann and also outside of McCann, walking around. But there's a lot of new stuff to be excited about this year as far as coaching goes. A lot of moving parts in the last few years. I think that Willis, replacing a coach that was, a cornerstone of athletics for 3 decades. What's it like finding a gap that, feels such an important figure?
Yeah, I mean, Jim Parity just did a wonderful job building young men for 33 years, 32 as the head coach. And, again, his legacy will be here for a long time. I mean, he helped transition us from almost Division. He was an assistant when we were Division III into Division I, the MAC conference, and then the loss of the MAC conference and being an independent FCS school for a couple of years. That's a real challenge. I mean, we were playing some teams that were scholarship that probably we shouldn't have been playing, but he put his head down and he motivated these young men to compete, and he really did a nice job. So Again, 32 years is a long time at that level and at that level of intensity. So I give him a lot of credit, and I haven't really spoken to him much since his
Been
retirement.
off the grid.
Neither have we.
He went off the grid a little bit. Yeah, he's back on the grid now, and he's been around a little bit, but he spends most of his time up in Maine. And him and his wife, from what I hear, are just enjoying life right now. So good for him. Well deserved, but I'm also excited about moving forward with as we talked about, the leadership of Mike Willis. I mean, he's really come in and has captivated McCann. I think he's done the same thing on campus. He's worked extremely hard putting together a really, really terrific staff that work. I've never seen a group of folks working as hard as they have in terms of their recruiting. And now that the season's beginning, in terms of game planning and so on. So really excited about the future of football here at Marist under the leadership of Mike Willis and his team. And, just a lot to be excited about.
Do you feel that excitement from other people, whether it be alumni, the current student body, just anyone around campus, even in the athletic department? Is that an excitement that you feel yourself?
I do. One of the things that we worked with a search firm when we hired Mike, and I thought it was a really, really good process. It was efficient. It was quick. Daniel Parker Associates helped me out with the search, and they did a good job. But one of the things that me and my team wanted to put in place was we needed to build some equity on campus, with people across campus. So we invited the president's cabinet. Each candidate met with Kevin individually and Jeff Brackett individually and some other key people on campus. But we invited the cabinet, to come down to the Hall of Fame, where the candidates spent all day from 8:30 in the morning all the way till 3 o'clock. And at 3 o'clock, they came into the Hall of Fame. And after hearing all about Marist, seeing Marist, talking to the president, talking to other stakeholders on campus, they had to present their program. Right, so they had to present how they were going to, motivate, recruit, coach, so on and so forth, and each had the same opportunity. And we had a lot of cabinet members come down and listen, and then give me feedback in terms of how they felt about that candidate. Because anytime you hire someone, you want to get someone that has the right credentials and is qualified and so on and so forth. But there's a lot of people that could fill that bill. Yeah. But you want to find the person that's going to be the right fit.
Yep.
I tell you what, I mean, Coach Willis did a terrific job with that, as did many of the other candidates. But to have the investment of many cabinet members made it so much better when that coach was hired, when Coach started on December the 18th. He immediately was able to talk to Christina Danella from the HR office, our vice president for HR, about, okay, I got to get my staff together. What do I need to do? And she knew who he was. Yep. She was excited about having him here, and there's a lot of equity there. I mean, like Caputo from IT,
Wow.
So
Made
all these
impression.
people came down, and helped the entire campus, embrace. And I call it, the campus football equity. I think there's a lot here now. And again, Jimmy did that as well, but I think Mike kind of put it on steroids a little bit and has engaged these people as a big part of his success will be through the help of others. And I think that's been really good. So, yeah, I mean, I've seen it. I think there's an excitement absolutely with the parents. With our alumni, I mean, I spent a lot of time on Friday evening at our happy hour kicking off football with our alums and community members and season ticket holders. And then, that evening at dinner, I took some select of our alums out for dinner. And then the next morning at the tailgate, again, more alumni. So, yeah, there are people that are really excited about the growth of Marist and also the growth of football in our athletic program for sure.
Well, it seems like there's a good relationship between Willis wanting to help out the school wanting to help out him, reflective almost. So
that's what makes an intriguing guest.
Yeah.
All of that insight, like about a hire and how the hiring process goes, you don't get that often. So I appreciate you guys sharing that with us. I think that's super interesting insight.
Yeah, when I interviewed him, he always makes sure. He always makes sure to credit everyone else around him too, and he's got that booming voice. He very just speaks very, very soundly. No vocal fillers. He knows what he's talking about. He has a clear message. I think the coolest thing for me was it seems like he is very, very straightforward with his team, and there are clear goals, but they're not. It's not a long list of like expectations, which is a good thing.
Yeah.
But besides Willis, I was curious because there's been a lot of Wilkinson this year, Georges obviously, a lot of moving parts with the coaching staff across the whole athletic Marist Athletics, and I kind of wanted to know like the difference between an outside hire and an inside hire, because there's obviously 2 inside hires recently that almost seem like slam dunk hires. Dowdy was there for however many years, Garcello as well. So I'm just curious what that process looks like.
Yeah, the women's basketball transition was a little different than the men's lacrosse transition, and just because of time.
Yeah.
Right, we had time.
Yeah.
So Brian announced his retirement, about a year out. So and again, him and I had been talking, a lot in terms of when would be his last year. So we had the time with Aaron to really vet that with Kevin and Jeff Brackett and others on campus, and what would be in the best interest of number one, our student athletes, and number two, maintain the success of the program, and so on and so forth. So that one we had a little bit more time. Contrast it with the men's lacrosse situation where literally Coach Wilkinson had a regularly scheduled meeting with me on a Monday sometime in the afternoon, and he called my assistant and said, "Hey, Johanna, I'm a little backed up in recruiting. I'm not back in town yet. Is it okay if we meet on Tuesday?" And she asked me. I said, "Yes, certainly. That's fine. I'm on in the office." So he came in on Tuesday, and we sat down, and I started on my agenda, which I had for the meeting, and he kind of redirected the meeting, and it was going in the wrong direction. I was like, "Whoa, Coach, where's this going?" And Keegan and I had a very good relationship with all of our coaches. If they are being entertained for a job, which happens at this level, I get it. I asked them just to be up front and forward with me, and we can keep it confidential. And in some cases, if it's a position where it's gonna aid them professionally, and it's the right move for them, I'll support them. Yeah. And at no time will I ever not support them. But so in this case, he hadn't shared with me anything. He was offered, I don't know if people know this, a St. John's job a year ago. And, he was very transparent with me all the way through. And we were obviously able to keep him here, which is good because I think he's done a remarkable job with our men's lacrosse program. But in this meeting, again, it was like, "Tim, this is not necessarily, it's not a college job." And I said, "Well, what's going on?" And then he proceeded to tell me exactly what was going on. And, this is an outstanding high school. And one of the things he said to me, he says, "Tim, since the season's been over, which is middle of May, I really haven't been home with my family for dinner at all." And he has 2 young kids at home and a wife. And he says, "I've been out recruiting, and it's a grind, So this opportunity, now college coaches are going to come to me, and he'll have probably some of the best high school prospects in the country, in the Baltimore area at least, will be at his school. Yeah. He'll literally be running a Division I program at the Several school, although it's a high school. Yeah. Right. And, his children will have the opportunity to go to this elite academic institution. Yeah. For part of his job.
That's what it's all about, right? So.
Yeah. So, and
frees up time.
Again,
too.
I said, the first thing I said to him, I says, will you give me the ability to counter? And he said, "I'm sorry, this is a total family decision. This is just not. This is not about money or whatever." So, again, I have a lot of respect for Keegan, as he is with his team. His priorities are very much in order. And it's family first, and he's always preached that with his athletes. So, a lot of respect for him, the job that he did for the time that he was here. He worked extremely hard. He was extremely competitive, and I think that's what made him good. But I've always admired and will always admire Keegan for the way in which he developed the culture within his team, which was just incredible, right? I mean, the young men that he recruits, and again, and I know a lot of the guys on the team, and I think they have a good time here at Marist, but it's all in good fun. They work really, really hard academically, athletically, but the culture on that team has been outstanding. Whether you're a starter or whether you're the last guy in the roster, you are embraced by the team, and the culture just the same. So, again, and I have great confidence that Dave will continue that leadership very much in the same way. I mean, he's been with our program for many years as a player, great goalie, and then as an assistant, integrally involved with Keegan in the recruiting process, which creates that culture, right? It's the type of young men that you bring in. So,
Totally.
So kind of get back to where we started. I mean, that transition was really a phone call, about an hour phone call between myself, Kevin, and Jeff Brackett joined us as well. And we just talked about, pluses and minuses of doing a search. I mean, obviously Dave would have been in the mix,
right,
no matter what. But in this environment with the portal, in this environment with NIL and so on, if we had any hesitancy in terms of our decision making with the head coaching position, I do believe we have, I think, 15 commits for 25 next year or something to that effect. The coaches out there, would be making phone calls almost immediately. So we didn't have one young man transfer. We didn't have one decommit to their commitment. And that's important. Again, I feel very confident about Dave. Whether there was a portal or not, I think Dave's the right guy for this position right now. I have great confidence in him and his ability to lead in a different way than Keegan did. Everybody has a different personality and a different approach to the way in which they approach their teams and their team culture. But I'm confident that he'll really do a good job. So in those two scenarios, just much different. Timing was a little bit different, but having a president that you can pick up the phone and have a very open and honest conversation. And he himself has spent a lot of time with our teams and our coaches. Right. So it's not as though you're trying to educate him in terms of the personality of one coach over another. He knows that coach already and has spent time with them, whether it's before practice, after practice, or so on. So, that makes it a lot easier, too, when your president's as engaged as Kevin is.
Yeah.
That's fascinating. Also, just because of the volatility of the portal and NIL and that's true. If you don't make a move, it says something. So whether it's true or not, that's fascinating to learn about the differences. So.
Definitely, for sure. And speaking of President Weinman, you obviously just mentioned your relationship. It seems like it's really good, and obviously we see him all over campus, and he's attending different events all the time. How much does it help you having him as someone you can rely on and him support you?
Yeah, I mean, I've been fortunate in my 30-year tenure here, with Dennis Murray as well. A totally different style. Yeah. But both were engaged in athletics and understood the importance of it and how important it is to the students, in campus. But no, Kevin, as you said, is just, I kind of thought after the first year he'd slow down a touch. But as we start year 4 here at the beginning of October, I mean,
oh my goodness,
he's not fast. That's his pace.
Yep.
He is, whether he's here on campus or he's off campus, visiting some of our off-campus sites or alumni or whatever. I mean, he just, he has a very active pace in terms of the way in which he approaches his job. And so from my perspective, it couldn't be better, to have someone who understands. I think the other thing that maybe you guys don't even know is he's actively involved at the conference level. I mean, as we talked about NIL and the portal, I mean, you also have to mention this NCAA lawsuit, the settlement that we thought we might see on Thursday, that the judge basically has pushed back. So, I mean, he spends a tremendous amount of time with our Marist grad Travis, our commissioner of the MAC, and the other MAC presidents, almost on a weekly basis, making sure that they are in tune and in touch with exactly what's going on to best represent our students, on a national level with our athletic program. So, I mean, it's just great to see him around and engaged in students and on social media and so on.
Yeah.
So I think I think it's greatly appreciated by the athletes too. I mean, I know that they've shared that with me as well. So no, it's all good. I got to be honest with you, it's forced me to go out, to make sure that I engage with the students even more, which is a good thing.
That's like the classic. Sure. Tom Brady is doing this, so everyone below him is going to contribute and try to improve themselves, and it goes all the way down.
Exactly.
I believe he was a big advocate for the track that you had previously mentioned. Where are we at with progress for that? Because there have been a lot of timelines, and now it seems like a little bit up in the air. So where is that?
Yeah, well, it's funny. I remember, I think one of the first conversations I had with Kevin after he was hired, he asked me, where's the track?
Inside.
Good question.
I was like, well, we don't have one. He says, well, you have indoor and outdoor track. I said, yeah, but we just figure it out. You know what I mean? Just put our head down and figure it out. And I credit Pete Calazo for that, for his leadership there, and our athletes over the years, and those that are with us now. They've done a great job. But so that was one of the first projects that he felt was important. And again, student-based. He heard that not just from our track athletes and coaches, but he also heard it from our club sports, where they're being forced to practice maybe at 9, 10 o'clock at night up on 10E because that's the first availability that there was. So, he heard that, and, he obviously spent time with myself and others and recognized that, there's a need there that we could probably address. And he made that, one of the first things that he kind of went after. So, so where are we at right now? I mean, I had hoped that, on or around July, we would have had a shovel in the ground. But, when you're dealing with a fast track project, you have to be prepared for potential slowdowns and some hiccups. I can say with all confidence right now, we work with the town of Poughkeepsie in getting your approvals and so on. And I give Justin Butwell a lot of credit, our director of physical plant, who works with the folks over there and the architects and the designers, to get the information that the town needs to make sure that they're comfortable with the way we're doing things. When you put an athletic field and you put up 6 80-foot light poles and you put light on a river, your folks that are concerned about the river are obviously concerned about the light and the disruption that causes. And again, it's just a matter of convincing them or showing that it's doable. And West Point, their athletic fields mostly are all in the river, so it's just a matter of helping them understand the technology. Like we have LED lighting, which is super energy efficient, but it's also the technology that we're using now for sport lighting is the amount of spill is so limited. Like the light will just be on the track, but it won't be 10 feet beyond that. So on. So the technology is outstanding. So we had those approvals through the town. We're putting in a turf field which has crumb rubber, right? So crumb rubber, if it migrates from the field into the river, does it create some problems? How do we mitigate those type of things? So those are the things that myself and mostly Justin have been working through over the summer in the town. Some of those caused some delays, again, to the fault of no one, really. Everyone, including the town, had every intention of making sure that we get this project started. So at this point right now, I've told Steve, our intramural person, that rugby can be on the field right now up until Monday the 23rd of September. And then we hope to have a shovel in the ground there. If it's another week, it's another week. But I truly believe by definitely October 1, we'll start seeing, some fencing going up and some construction and so on and so forth. So, the plan is hopefully, that we will get the subsurface done. There's a lot of, plumbing that has to go under the ground, conduit for lighting and so on and so forth. And then the subsurface for the track and the turf, have that in. There is a chance we could have the turf completely done. One of the things that's nice about turf is you can do that in cold weather. It's you're not going to be delayed because of weather other than snow. So cold is not going to impact that. I think last year West Point put in a turf field through the winter. So we hope to get that done, completed, and then the track, we get all the way up to the blacktop, but the track surface, which is, very sensitive material, you need proper humidity, temperature, and so on for a certain amount of time. We've probably lost that window at this point, which we even knew if we started in July, we would probably lose that window. So we'll have a track that'll be just blacktop, which will be lined, right? So that at least we can train on it a little bit, right? Even though it's not a great surface to run on, and obviously you can't use spikes for our track kids. But at least it'll be a track. The protective netting should be up and so on. So we'll be able to use the field maybe through the winter, depending on if we have a mild winter like we've had the last couple. The lights will be up, so that'll give us extended periods on the field for all of our students. That's what I'm excited about. I mean, I just love the fact that you have lights and so on. But that should be hopefully done, and then when the weather breaks in the spring, we'll come back, and then they'll do the final top coat for the track, and that'll be good. So I've told our track athletes, and I've kept them abreast through the summer. Actually, all of our athletes, I've kept them abreast, just via email through the summer. But I was concerned, because our general students have heard, hey, we're going to have this track and turf, and they're going to start in July, and it didn't get started. So we've tried to address that as much as we can. And again, just normal delays, not the fault of any group or organization. It's just, it's a fast track project, and we're moving fast on it. So bids are out to our vendors. And like I said, hopefully by the 23rd, at worst, October 1, we'll be shoveling the ground, and progress should be pretty quick. It should be pretty quick. So I think that's really going to change. It's going to change athletics, but it's more important. I think it's going to change our club sports and our recreation and intramurals a lot.
More space for sure.
Well, we're going to double our available space outside, which has been a challenge.
Right. No, that's 100% a concern for club sports. And also, I mean, we had a conversation, Tim, I think last year about, I did a story on the history of McCann and the gym, and there's just so many factors based on like longevity of like what surface is best for, to maximize longevity. And then obviously you got to be careful with what, which is why delays would happen, making sure the surface is right, making sure you're putting it up when it's, weather conditions are correct.
Right.
So there's just multiple factors that, nature runs its course.
Yeah.
So.
We've done a good job with our facilities, right? I mean, the fact that we have air conditioning in our arena. Yeah. We didn't have air conditioning in our arena for most of my tenure, right? So
that's tough.
I mean that's been a big one. Our tennis courts are terrific. Great facility up there. We're actually I'll get this out to the students, but pickleball's big right now. So we have 39 teams signed up for pickleball intramurals starting on Monday.
Yeah, I saw people go into that. So I live in Fulton, so my window's right outside of tennis courts, and I think more often than not, I see pickleball.
You hear pickleball.
Yeah, or hear it because it's loud. Thankfully, I got headphones on.
Yeah. We'll wait till next Monday night when there's 8 courts of pickleball going on.
I'll have to
under the lights.
I'll have to do some coverage from my room. I have like a luxury suite. So. Yeah.
Let me give another plug. Another thing that I've asked Steven to do, which is really, really hot right now, is women's touch flag football. Women's flag football. The NFL sees how much women are supporting the NFL and loving football. So we really want to kind of engage in that and give our women an opportunity to play football. And then the other thing that we really want to do is a women's ice hockey club, right? So we have a really vibrant men's ice hockey club. We have ice up at the Civic Center. And we really want to give our women an opportunity to also play ice hockey at a club intercollegiate level. Now, we're a couple years off for sure, but if we can get women engaged, those that have skated before and played hockey, and we can do some free skates or maybe some scrimmages.
Those numbers continue to grow too.
Oh, absolutely. In high school, women's hockey is just on fire.
The PWHL just completely rebranded all the new teams. So
I saw that this morning.
We're Boston guys.
Where
are
you?
Fleet.
Okay. Where are you getting these? I mean, it might not just be solely you, but these ideas. Where do they come from? people from Marist? Are you getting them from, because I know you mentioned West Point, and it seems like you have a good pulse on what they're doing all the time. Is it other local colleges? Is it a MAC conference thing? Is it nationally? Where do these ideas come about?
Yeah, I think it's all of the above after 30 years.
Yeah,
Right?
that's
You're
true.
right.
Neat experience.
Yeah, and honestly, like I'm not embarrassed to say it. I do, read newspapers on my computer, but I'm a newspaper guy. So in the morning I read the New York Times and the local Poughkeepsie Journal.
Right.
And there's say what you want about the New York Times, but their sports page has changed quite a bit.
Yeah,
But
The
they still have
Athletic,
really good
yeah.
writers, and they're very much not necessarily reporting sports game results, but they're more about trends and human interest and stuff like that. So, that's intriguing. And again, you hear it from different places. Yeah, athletic directors meeting, the national convention of the athletic directors, where, there's 1,000, 1,500 athletic directors were in Las Vegas in June, and, it's just really having conversations with them for sure. And, listening to, even guys in the community playing golf, what are their kids playing and what is getting them excited, or what are they going to, and so on and so forth. And
A lot of listening.
yeah. I mean, our previous county executive who put the pickleball court up at Quiet Cove, you know what I mean? He constantly asked me about pickleball.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? So, it's just kind of everywhere. It's a good question, but it's just trends, and so on and so forth. So, and I think it's important that, we try to stay up in terms of what we offer our students. If that's what they want, hey, let's see if we can figure it out and do it.
Yeah.
Makes sense.
The other thing I'd love to see happen,
Yeah.
need a lot of help on this one, is, and you guys are New England guys, so you love hockey.
Yeah.
So I have a friend of mine, a friend through my nephew, who installs outdoor ice for the winter. So
Interesting.
it's temporary for the winter.
Okay.
But they bring in a chiller, and you just basically set up ice,
Well.
whether it's on a tennis court or whatever. I think that would be unbelievable.
Well, I'll tell you what, with the winters we have here, and just also coming from a northeast area, I mean, a lot of hockey fans on this campus. And I mean, we've talked about this. Like, club hockey is huge.
Yeah.
It's for the fan base it has, for the amount of players dedicated, it's really shocking. Even when they play, 10 minutes down the road.
Yep.
So it really is. It's fantastic.
We used to be able to play pond hockey,
Right. Yeah.
but it doesn't get cold enough
Yeah,
anymore.
I
The
know.
ponds aren't freezing around here
Yeah,
as much.
yeah,
So,
yeah.
but if we could bring in an ice rink in November 1, and have ice, whether it's for open skate, for
Yeah.
people who just want to use figure skates or whatever, or you have intramural hockey, whatever. I mean,
Yeah.
I think it would really be a lot of fun and another opportunity
Do
for.
a lot of cool events,
Yeah.
Getting
Absolutely.
the students involved.
Yeah.
So.
It's a little bit of reach.
Yeah,
I
yeah.
have the material, but it's a little
We're
bit of a
we're
reach.
just spitballing
but-
here.
Yeah, exactly.
just we'll have to brainstorm sometime.
The way things happen the best around this campus is when the students engage and
Right.
they feel it's important.
Yeah.
And they
Yeah.
show that it's important. So, again, that's a plug to our students, too.
Yeah.
Well,
for sure.
Tim, we thank you so much. We're don't want to keep you forever. We could talk forever. I feel like about ideas for the campus, but really a lot of insight on what's going on for the next year. I got one last question, really important. The Tim Murray sandwich. Have to ask, where did that come from? How did that happen? Because smoked turkey. Are you a big smoked turkey guy? You a big foodie? Like,
Well, again, you guys opened this thing up. I've been around for 30 years, so I've been going to Rossi's for a long time. I'm a little bit a victim of habit at times, so that's my sandwich, right?
Yeah.
So the new Rossi's out at Eastdale,
beautiful,
Olive
gorgeous.
and Terry. Yeah, I mean the chef out there, said, "Hey, are you good if we just put this on the board?" I'm like, "Yeah, that's fine."
Wow.
And then they asked me to come out and do those goofy
Yeah,
videos
yeah,
that
yeah.
I did.
Yeah. That, as far as list of
lot of fun.
accolades, that's got to be up there. Getting a sandwich named after you.
Oh, it's clearly at the top.
Yeah,
There's not a lot of people that
1A,
can claim
yeah.
that, right?
That's pretty fantastic. Yeah. Well.
It's a top seller too.
Yeah.
Try it. Try it.
I sure will. I mean,
I had one last spring when we had
Did
the MAC softball championships here. That was one of your sandwiches
That's right.
was there.
That's right. Yeah.
It was good.
Yeah.
pretty great,
So.
pretty fantastic. Well, Tim, thank you so much, and I'm sure we'll talk soon. I
Hey,
really appreciate it.
Let me just say, I appreciate this, and this is a great forum, and hopefully you can have some of our coaches and others on for sure.
Absolutely.
And I want to give a lot of credit to the writers for Centerfield too. I think they've really done a good job, and it's nice to see when we have home games that we have a lot of people there. Some of them are students, right?
Yep.
That are there for a class and a project, but them other them's like you were at football obviously, and
Yep.
you guys are around quite a bit, so it's good to see. And this whole thing with the new strategic plan and experiential learning, and we're producing ESPN2 games, and just what you're doing here today is a great. The amount of learning that's going on is more than you guys really know.
Yeah.
you know, but
It's very valuable.
yeah, it's cool that Marist can give us the equipment and the opportunity to do this to make ourselves better. So
Absolutely.
but I appreciate all that you guys do as well.
Yeah,
Thank you.
100%. Well, this is great. We'll certainly talk soon. Thanks, Tim.
Anytime.
Yeah.